in, I invite you to gently settle in. Take a deep, easy breath, in, and out, Feel the weight of the day begin to soften. Let your jaw unclench, let your shoulders drop just a little. Feel the quiet hush around you, a quiet that feels like warm wool and candlelight. Now, imagine a soft breeze through the leaves, the delicate tap of footsteps on cobblestones, and the hush of twilight as the stars begin to blink awake, because our story tonight sets sail in that in-between hour. The hush between dusk and night, on a cobbled lane where dreams drift, ever so gently, like mist through trees, Our story begins on the edge of an old stone castle. It is a gentle evening in early spring, and the air carries the scent of lilacs and hearth smoke. The sky is a soft lavender gray, a watercolor wash behind the turrets and tiled rooftops of the sleepy town nestled below. You're standing on a quiet, cobbled lane. Each stone is worn smooth by centuries of passing feet, cartwheels, and soft hooves. The stones are still warm from the sun, but they're beginning to cool under the deepening dusk. A few fireflies blink near a hedge. Somewhere, a sheep bleats, as if dreaming aloud. A warm torch flickers in a black iron sconce affixed to the castle wall, casting a trembling golden halo onto the lane. In that gentle glow sits a minstrel. He is cross-legged on a rolled wool blanket, a travel sack beside him, and a feathered cap tipped just slightly over one brow. His boots are dusty, his tunic faded from long roads, but there's kindness in his eyes, and patience in the curve of his mouth. He holds a lute, but not just any lute. The strings shimmer like moonlight. They are made from swan, feather quill steen and strong, and when plucked, they hum with a sound finer than silver. In the medieval days long past, it was said that bards of the old realms, those gifted in dreams and song, sometimes used feather-strung lutes to charm both court and creature. This bard's name is Thalin. He does not speak much, only lets his music do the talking. And tonight, he tunes, twinning, goes. The high string sings the low one, soft and round. He tilts his ear toward the sound, nods, and gently adjusts a peg. Above him, the castle's windows flicker with warm candlelight. Within, nobles feast. They do not yet know he is outside, but it is not for them that he plays. He plays for the air, for the stillness, for the hearts behind shutters and quiet hearts, and perhaps for you. You take a quiet seat on the stone edge near an ivy-covered wall. The ivy rustles, whispering old secrets, and Thalin begins. The first notes are soft, so soft they feel like a breeze brushing the surface of a pond. No words, just melody, slow, deliberate, gentle. He plays the Ballad of the Elm Road, a tune said to be first heard in the year 1242, when a young noble fell asleep beneath a tree and dreamt of the entire kingdom's peace. The chords ripple outward. Each one is like a drop in a still pool. Each note finds your breath. Slowing. Sinking. The swan strings hum a lullaby into the cobbled lane. You close your eyes, if only for a moment. You hear the soft jingle of his cloak clasp as he shifts. The distant sound of a wheelbarrow creaking down the hill. Somewhere, a dog lets out one quiet bark, then curls deeper into sleep. Thalin's fingers move like water flowing from one string to the next. The song weaves images in your mind. A still forest under snow, a flickering candle in a chapel window, a boat gently rocking in the reeds of a moonlit lake. He leans into another tune now, this one older still. It's called The Feather and the Flame. It tells of a time centuries ago when traveling bards were welcome in every village, even more so than knights. Why? Because they carried no sword, only stories. And stories, in those days, were more powerful than any blade. He sings now, his voice, barely louder than breath, feathered string and flame-bright heart, wanderer, born of silent art, play for those who lie awake, dreaming of the paths they'll take. You feel something soften in your chest. You are not just listening. You are drifting down that old, starlit lane. With Thalen's music like warm water, each note a footstep on moss, each pause a moment to rest beneath a lantern tree. He hums between verses, a low, comforting sound, one that wraps around you like a woolen shawl. Now the breeze picks up just enough to carry the scent of bread crust and sweet herbs from a kitchen nearby. Someone is baking late, perhaps for tomorrow's market. A kettle whistles. The lute answers, plinning a higher note now. A touch of mischief. You imagine a fox darting through the hedge. Thalen chuckles softly, as if the fox were real and known to him. He begins a new tune. The Goose and the Piper, a folk tune from the Riverlands, once sung to children just before bedtime. The melody circles, repeating in soft spirals. The slow, the hard. Thalen's eyelids droop, though his hands continue to move. Even he is lulled by the spell of his own strings. You rest your head against the ivy wall, feeling the cool stone behind you. The crackle of the torch above plays a soft rhythm, like a sleepy fire or the beat of a heart just before dreams take hold. The music drifts on, like morning mist curling through the trees. And with every slow strum of the lute, the world outside, the story grows just a little dimmer, a little softer. You are safe here, here on this cobbled lane, beneath the torchlight, where song holds the night like a warm hand over a sleeping child. Thalen's fingers slow now. He plays a quiet chord, holds it, lets it fade. Then silence, but not empty silence. The kind that holds the breath of the world. That perfect hush between one note and the next, between waking and dreaming. And in that stillness, he speaks, his voice quiet, the edge of it dusted with miles and smoke and soft meadows. There was a time, he says, when lords would trade a pouch of silver for a single new song. His fingers resume their motion now, softly plucking an older melody still, barely audible, as if not meant to disturb the dreams already blooming in nearby windows. He tells you, while he plays, of the Order of the Wandering Tune, a real guild from the 13th century, once believed to gather every few seasons in the ruins of an old abbey deep within the greenwood. No one knew the exact date, only those who were meant to find it ever did. They exchanged songs like others exchanged coin, verses like promises, melodies like messages left in stone. You picture it now. A moss-covered chapel, cloaks damp with forest dew, a dozen figures, hunched around a single candle, passing a tune from hand to hand, like bread. Thalen smiles softly, seeing your eyelids growing heavier. Songs, he whispers, were once how people remembered. A pluck, a pause. How they loved, how they mourned, how they hoped. The lute sings on, and the air begins to change, not in temperature, but in feeling. There's a warmth now, as if the very stone beneath your feet remembers those ancient bards. You lean your head back once more. The sky above is darker now, the stars brighter, and from this quiet lane, the night seems to lean in to listen. Thalen begins a new piece. This one he plays just for the stars. He closes his eyes, plays by feel, and every note feels like a sigh between the constellations. It's called the Song of St. Elia's Tower. Legend has it that a young girl named Ilia once sang from her tower every night for 7 years, waiting for her father to return from the war. Her voice became so clear, so constant, that villagers swore. Her lullaby kept their dreams peaceful and their crops healthy. They say her song was passed from one bard to the next for 100 years after she passed, each version softer, slower, like echoes losing themselves in time. Now, Thalen plays it, and you can hear it too. Not just the notes, but the tower stone, the wind that carried her voice, the longing that lived in each note, and then slowly, gently, faded. Thalen lets the last notes linger. He lifts his fingers from the strings and listens, not for applause, but for quiet. He nods, and from his satchel, he pulls a small, linen-wrapped bundle. He unwraps it carefully. as if revealing a treasure. It is a dried lavender sprig, still fragrant, still purple at its tips. He sets it on the cobblestone in front of him. Then, beside it, a tiny carved bird of swan, like the feathers on his lute. One for scent, one for memory. He tells you that in the days before books were common, people remembered their most precious stories using memory tokens. Objects infused with meaning, a wooden spoon, a feather, a stone warmed by a loved one's hand. These things helped recall entire tales. You could hold one and the story would return to you, like a whisper in the dark. Fallon hands you a token from his own pouch. It's a smooth, flat stone, etched with a music note, still warm from his touch. Keep it, he says softly. It will remember this night, even if you do not. The wind picks up again, slow and low, carrying the scent of lavender. The clop of a horse's hooves echoes down a far-off street, slow and drowsy, like a rider nearly asleep in the saddle. Somewhere a shutter creaks closed. A dog sighs, and above all of it, the swan feather lute hums a final lullaby. It is the cradle song of Eisenfold, a melody once reserved for royal infants in a mountain kingdom long lost to snow. Each note is drawn out, like the last stretch before sleep. You feel your breath slow again. Your limbs soften. The corners of your mind begin to blur. Like paint bleeding into silk, Fallon hums, barely a whisper, as the final note fades. Then the torch above him flickers once, twice, and goes out. The lane is bathed in moonlight now. Cool, silver still. He does not move, nor do you. There is no need. Not now. The moonlight drapes gently across the cobblestone lane, like a silk sheet pulled over a sleeping village. Nothing stirs, now except the shadows, slow and kind, moving softly beneath the stars. Fallon doesn't speak. He sits with his hands resting on his lute, the swan strings now silent, the wood still faintly warm from the last song. You don't need music anymore. Not right now. Because in this perfect silence, you hear the world breathing. A distant owl hoots. Once the ivy rustles again, not in fear, but in rhythm, as if nodding off with you. And the air has grown cool but not cold. Just enough to make the hush feel real. You look up your head, still leaning against a stone wall, and you see the castle's silhouette glowing faintly beneath the moon. One high window flickers. A curtain flutters. A story, perhaps beginning elsewhere. But here, the tale slows, deepens, like a river widening near its mouth. Fallon finally moves just his hand, reaching into the folds of his cloak to retrieve something small and soft. A pouch. Velvety unties it and spills its contents gently onto the blanket. They are song beads, little round tokens carved from bone, wood, amber, and sometimes glass. In the Middle Ages, troubadours and minstrels often carried them, each bead encoded with a different verse, a different tale. Some were etched with symbol stars, tears, leaves, or keys. Others held tiny grooves, melodies pressed in like thumbprints, meant to be remembered only when rolled between the fingers. Fallon picks one up, bone white, a feather etched into its face. He closes his eyes, rolls it gently in his palm, and begins to hum. No words, just breath and tone. You close your eyes too. You begin to sway, just slightly, inwardly, not with your body, but with your thoughts. The hum grows clearer, a rise, a fall, like waves pulling you farther from the shore. You imagine yourself not on a lane now, but on a boat, a quiet vessel with a pale sail, drifting through still waters. The sky stretched wide above you, full of stars you don't need to name. Because in this part of the story, names don't matter, only the feeling. And the feeling is safe. The feeling is sleep. Fallon speaks again, his voice a hush. Is it trying not to wake the stones beneath you? They say, he murmurs, that if you fall asleep to a bard's hum, your dreams will carry songs of their own, and when you wake, the melody might stay behind. He smiles faintly and sets the feather bead aside. He takes up another, this one carved from smoky amber, with a sunburst etched deeply into it, and with it, a warmer tone enters the night. He plays again, his fingers gentle on the strings, coaxing from them a slow, honey-sweet tune. This is the evening anthem of Del, a lullaby once sung by town criers after the bells of Kerfa rang, meant to calm the village, signal peace, and assure all within the walls that the gates were closed, the fires tended, and the world outside would stay where it belonged. Children already curled on straw mattresses, a baker's fire low and glowing, waiting for the dawn, and in the center square, a single lantern still lit, flickering beside a wooden post where the crier once stood. The music swells gently, then hushes again, like a lull in conversation between old friends. Fallon leans back, looks up, listens to the night, and so do you. The story doesn't speak here. It breathes, and in that breath, your mind begins to wander, to old places, to soft memories, to strange lands that feel both far and familiar. Perhaps, in this dreamlike drift, you remember something small. The sound of leaves crunching beneath your shoes as a child, the smell of warm flour on a winter morning, the feel of a blanket that had once belonged to someone who loved you. Fallon plays another note. This one soft as down. It trails into silence. Then a final, even quieter hum, and with that, he lowers the lute to his lap. You can see now his eyes are half closed. He, too, is fading into this moment. The torch has long since gone out. Only moonlight remains. Moonlight, and a quiet chorus of a sleeping world. The song beads are wrapped once more, tucked away, and all is still.